are with the monumentally talented, the beloved, the terror of interns everywhere, the nemesis of our favorite psychopathic lesbian serial killer. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandra Oh. We're so happy to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
I love seeing like your face in a small box.
Yes, for anyone listening, we're doing this on Zoom. And
we get to see
go,
Sandra
I guess,
so
to the
cool.
Sirius app, and you can also watch it.
Yeah.
Sandra, how are you? Are you coming to us from home today?
Yes, I'm sitting in my breakfast nook.
Are you? It's
This is my
you
breakfast
have
nook.
nice fabric in your breakfast nook.
Very nice, right? It's happy fabric. It's got dragons on it.
Oh,
nice.
I'm lifting up the pillow. There's the foot of the dragon.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the face is on the other side.
Oh my gosh. We're watching Sandra Oh start to tear her house apart. Because it's come to that after just a month.
The other day, I took scissors to my hair.
You did?
And I was just about to go do a horror film actually in Vancouver. And so I had been growing out my hair to get like some good horror hair. And so I actually haven't cut my hair since November. And, but it's crazy now. It's so crazy now. I can't.
But it looks good. You've got it.
You didn't get yourself bangs or something.
I did. And I was like, right now my bangs, were like here. And I was like, cut my hair and sent.
Did you at least watch like a teen tutorial on YouTube?
No.
Because I'm sure there's. No. Oh my God, Sandra!
I feel like I've had my hair cut, and it's like, oh, don't do it straight across. You got to cut into it to have a kind of like edgy look. Oh, terrible. But I just feel also we don't know how much longer this is going to go on. So I feel like it'll grow out.
It'll grow out. You know what? You may want to cut it again.
Now's the time to experiment.
Exactly. What was this horror movie, and why were you growing your hair out? Did you want to look like that girl in The Ring?
In The Ring? It's always good to have options with hair and horror. No, actually, it's a film by Irish Shim called Umma, UMMA, which means mother. In Korean, and we're going to go shoot it up at we're going to go shoot it up in Vancouver, and I was going to for us, I think in Hollywood, everything kind of shut down. Well, the world kind of changed on March 13th, Friday the 13th, I remember, and that's when they called it. And I was supposed to go up to Vancouver the next week, and then everything kind of went down. For COVID, so I haven't been able to go back up there, and it was really too bad because I don't know if you know, but my family lives. My parents live up there. My sister and my family live up there. So yeah.
Are they doing okay?
To see them. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, my parents have quite a sedentary lifestyle anyway, so it's not like their life really changed, except that they can't go out to church, which they don't really like, but so my parents are fine and they're well, and my sister and her kids, and my brother-in-law is an ER doc, and so that's the only, honestly, that's the stressful thing, is that he's constantly in a hospital.
Yeah.
I know that's worrisome, but he's doing okay and taking care of himself.
Yes.
Yeah, so man. Anybody on the front lines is like, you so feel for them, and I hope in Canada, he's in Canada, right? Yeah.
Correct.
And so I hope that they're getting more support than maybe some of our healthcare workers are getting here.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
From the government.
I will say they are, and I don't really want to go into policies because. But right now, I think Canada, at least in Vancouver, surprisingly, people are just really, really coming together and following the instructions, that the Prime Minister is saying. So right now, they're able to really focus on people who are needing the attention and the care the most. And right, he is not, so far, the stresses that I think a lot of hospitals that are the states are in the states are experiencing is not going on as widely in Vancouver, at least.
Well, that's great. I hope that I'm happy for your brother, and I hope that we catch up to that. Yeah. Yes. Sandra, we were just talking about your family, and Julia and I have so many questions about Killing Eve this season because, first of all, Dame Harriet Walter, Dasha, this situation is beyond just all of it, and you're making dumplings and fighting on. I mean, it's so good. I want to remind everybody: Sundays at 9 p.m. BBC America, and on AMC, Killing Eve, the third season, which is just phenomenal. But you were talking about your family, and it's always been interesting to me that it's such a brainy family. Like these are not carnival people like Julia Cunningham and myself. These are serious people with real jobs and much education. And I've always been so fascinated that you must have had this, because you're so good, you must have had this calling really early on that you were going to go be a performer, and this is what you wanted to do. And that must have been quite a struggle for you internally.
I think that I was, I don't know about the both of you. I think that those of us who learn or who know what we want to do early, I just think it's a really lucky thing. And that happened for me too. I was about, between the age of 8 to 12, probably around 10 when I did my first play. And from that point on, that's why I'm here in this breakfast nook talking to you guys from that point on, from 10 to like here. But I was always I'm the only one in my family who never went to college. I went to theater school. But I did not go to. I did.
Serious theater school.
Mm-hmm.
But was it? Theater school. Well, there was a moment though when you had like gotten a scholarship for journalism.
Oh no, I was going to go to journalism school because I really liked journalism, and I also had a lot of that, and I still do in some ways, a lot of that energy, that youthfulness energy of wanting to change the world. Like I was really into like environmentalism. I was doing a lot of stuff in my high school, and that passion to change the world in some sort of way, I did feel the avenue of journalism was something that was appealing to me. But I was accepted to the National Theater School, and I was like, bye-bye. But but the thing is, but when you were saying about the internal struggle, I don't know about you, but I feel like as one ages and comes into a better understanding of oneself, you realize that all those internal struggles, for me, have been extremely beneficial. I've spoken about this before, but it was very difficult at home with my parents. They didn't really understand what the arts were, or performing arts were. And I understand from their point of view as immigrant parents that they were like, this is crazy. This is a white world. You're not white. You know what I mean? Don't do this. We already know how hard it is. Don't do it, because they love me. You know what I mean? But because I had to overcome them, and as you know, they have a tremendous influence on my life. It really gave me an internal kind of confidence, because it's like you're gonna have people saying no to you for a big chunk of your life, and having overcome that first hurdle of my parents and doing it anyways, I think it gave me actually a lot of internal strength.
Yeah, it gave you this. It gives you this kind of permission to listen to. I think so many people that go into the arts have that struggle, even with parents that really care about them, because they're worried. How are you going to make a living? There's so much rejection, and when you do it, and even before you're a success, if you know this is your right path, it does give you this kind of permission to listen to yourself, permission to listen to your gut. That's great.
Agreed.
Tell us about, so set up the third season of Killing Eve for us. So we thought you were dead. We thought you were dead. You're not.
You're like a butcher now.
But now I am. No, yes, that cliffhanger of the second season. So at the very end of the second season, Villanelle shoots Eve in the back and leaves her for dead in Rome. And when we start the third series, we're about several months later. And it really, really kind of jumps. Where you see Eve is she's in the midst of kind of like hibernating or recovering, and it doesn't really look that healthy because you see her drinking a lot, you see her isolating, and you see her, living in a kind of hovel while her husband is actually in recovery from the trauma. And, but for me, I always thought, I was talking to Suzanne Heathcote, our lead writer, when we were developing the idea of how she comes back, I felt it's like, great, you see her like looking like crap, working in the back of a restaurant, drinking too much. But for me, I felt Eve was at her strongest and her most independent, because in the first couple of episodes, you see Eve actually say no, in like ways that you've never seen her say no. She says no to Kenny. She says no to Carolyn. And she really is trying to say no to Villanelle. And the first episode, you see her in the back of a restaurant, Korean restaurant, making mandu. And I really love that because, one, you kind of got the sense of that she's just sitting here doing this very meditative, repetitive motion of making dumplings while she's hearing, a comforting kind of language where she could feel like that she can just be anonymous and float away. But then obviously after the end of the first episode, things change because Kenny's killed. And that is
I think we can spoil the end of the first episode because it's aired and all of that. But Kenny is killed. I mean, literally no one is immune from death and serious injury on this show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes it fun.
It makes me very nervous.
Well, I also wonder, because one of the things I love about Killing Eve is that you bring in a new head writer every season. And so although these people really know these characters, you get this breath of fresh air every time. But what was the reaction when it was revealed that Kenny was going to be killed? I think I would have been like, no, if I was a writer, but then being no, it makes sense to the story that someone close has to die.
I got to tell you, when she pitched me that idea, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's painful and it's great. Because really, it was such a for me a well-earned and a well-worked-for no that she gives to Villanelle at the end of 2, that I was like, I don't understand how she could possibly get back into the hunt. I don't understand how she could probably get back into the
what will
game.
lure her back into that?
Yeah, in some ways, it's like Emerald Fennell in the season 2 set a lot of Eve's journey up in terms of addiction. And at the very, very end of season 2, Eve kind of wakes up to this dream that she's been in for a long time with Villanelle. And so when you actually pass that point of discovery, of awareness, when you actually do wake up in your life, you can't go back to sleep. You just can't go backwards. So I was like, I don't understand how I could possibly go back. But the killing of Kenny was monumental enough. I thought could get Eve really back into the hunt of it while she's trying to change all her relationships.
I want to ask you, what is your, on the set, what is your dynamic like with Jodie Comer? What's it like with Fiona Shaw? Because those relationships are so horrific on screen. That I'm curious, what are you like when you're just hanging out on the set?
It's a great atmosphere. We really enjoy and adore and respect each other very much. With Jodie and I purposely don't talk about stuff don't talk about our character stuff together. Because we like to keep it quite mysterious. But, after working together for 3 years, I think that we have a real trusting rapport and an ability to be really, really present with each other. And that's actually what I really love, because there's a lot of ambiguity between Villanelle and Eve. And Jodie and I try and make this space for kind of magic stuff to happen. Fiona, I bow down to, because she is a queen. She's the queen. I actually have a great story about her. It's I saw Fiona perform Medea on Broadway in the early aughts, right? And she was just insane. And so when it came to the very, very first reading of the pilot, first time I met Fiona Shaw, I went up to her and I was gushing just like a schoolgirl. And I did the very last beat of Medea to her. I acted it out because I was and then you did this, and you did this towards Jason. And she was she was actually not that I was crazy, but she was quite flattered that I remembered her exactly, her
Wow.
performance, the last moment of her performance. She is just fantastic. And we really, really enjoy working together. She's from the theater, deeply from the theater, and I came from the theater as well. So we have a lot of good language together.
Well, now, when you say Medea, you're talking about the Greek play, not the Tyler Perry version that was done later.
I would pay $1 million to see Fiona Shaw take on the role of Medea.
Oh my God, she would crush it.
she would totally crush it. So, Sandra, what I know, I'm going to tease just this, because I saw 1 or 2 episodes ahead, and there is a meeting between you and Villanelle that is. I'm not going to give anything away. It is.
That's the
it
tease.
is. No, it's just that in the most weird, unexpected place, she shows up, wearing a 3-piece suit.
I know,
such a good suit. Such a good suit.
Jealous.
Anyway, so that's something to look forward to. Tell us something coming up. Just to tease it, give us a little taste of some of the stuff.
Something that you're
up.
excited about.
Yeah, excited for people to see.
I won't tell you what episode it is, but they're obviously Villanelle and Eve have to meet again. And what I love about the scenes with Jodie, between Eve and Villanelle, they're almost like its own separate play. It's almost like its own separate show. This, you could put the strangest circumstances, and I would believe it. I would just believe it. Yeah. So in an unexpected way, they meet up, and it is. And Eve is out of control.
Yes.
She gets out of control. It's talk about reactivity. She just reacts and cannot stop herself. When I read that scene, Laura Neal wrote that episode, and she's now taking over season 4. I thought it was great. And it really felt right in the pocket to me. And it felt in the pocket not only stylistically of how they would meet, but it felt in the pocket emotionally. Here we've seen Eve trying to recover, trying to in some ways just escape from life, have her life really, really, really super small. And then the meeting happens, and you see all this pent up feeling and reactivity and rage and passion that comes out spontaneously. And that just makes sense to me, because I think that that's the reaction and the reactivity between the two of them.
It's so funny that you call it a separate play, because they are these two incredibly well-defined characters. Mm-hmm. And yet, when they meet or when they're around each other, they bring out something in each other that is almost diametrically opposed to who they actually are the rest of the time. It's so good.
Oh, good. That's it. I mean, it's a great dynamic to always play, because, you spend a lot of the time in our own storylines being not together, but just being on the exploring other sides of your character. But in some ways, your most explosive parts, the most passionate parts happen in relationship to each other.
I've talked to a couple of people who during this crazy time are home and they're binging things. And of course, Grey's Anatomy is one of the things that people who missed it the first time are going back to. People that love it are going back and watching it all again. What do you miss about Grey's Anatomy? What do you not miss about Grey's Anatomy?
What do I miss about Grey's, and what do absolutely, what I miss the most are the people. I spent, a decade of my life working with that cast and crew. And I'm in contact with some of them, but it's a deep family. It's a family-like setting with all its complications as well. But that history I do miss. I miss a lot of the crew and the cast. And what I don't miss. Oh, you want to know what I also miss? I miss that. I don't give it too much away. I miss that the studio is like a 5-minute drive from my house.
Well, that's key in Los Angeles.
And yes, and now my set now is in Europe, so that's
that's different.
That's a little different. What I don't miss. I mean, I love the Scrubs, man. It was so easy. Like, that was also really easy.
Well, I really learned how to wash my hands from Grey's Anatomy and ER, where you guys were always having dramatic conversations, washing your hands
exactly
furiously for minutes. Yeah.
I guess what I don't miss is, it's interesting. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what I don't miss. But I feel like what I've passed the time is I've passed the time of just that character. It really has felt done for me and finished for me. And also I left in 2014. So it's been like 6 years. So I actually don't miss her. I don't miss Christina.
I was so upset when you left, and now I'm so glad that you did.
Thank
because
you.
It gave us Killing Eve and all kinds of other stuff.
Worth it.
Yes.